Hi, I'm Dr. Chris Zimmer. Welcome. I just want to do a quick video called 3-Day Rapture Sign. And this is going to involve the Ring of Fire eclipse that we just had. But first, let's go through of something that I went through last time, but I want to add a point to it. This has to do with the Hebrew alphabet, and we're looking at the center of it. We have the reading from right to left. We have the four central characters, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem. And then you can see in the top row, 10, 11, 12, 13 is the count. And if we add 11 and 12, we get 23. And if we add 10 and 13, we get 23. We also have in the second row, 10, 11 in both directions. And then the numerical values, 10, 20, 30, 40, and in the center gives you 20, 30. So we looked at this last time, 10, 11, his reward is with him, he shall gather the lambs. But something I want to add to this is that there are actually 3 occurrences of 10, 11. So that's where we get that 3-day warning from. And if we look at three days from 10:11 to 10:14, the day of the eclipse. There's a 3-day section there. And then if we go from the eclipse and project forward 3 days, we come to a very interesting date that I'd like to explore now. The sighting of the new moon in Jerusalem, I spoke about this a couple of videos ago. And we were looking at Yom Teruah would probably be a month off. And we get our information from weareisrael.org. And they quote, the new moon was sighted the evening of April 21st, 2023 as expected in Jerusalem. And the barley was now in the Abib. The 7th month new moon is expected to be sighted the evening of Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. Based on the calculations, this date is almost a certainty. This means Wednesday, October 18th, should be Yom Teruah. So this, of course, this hasn't happened yet, so the sighting hasn't happened yet, so we can't tie that date down. And I made a note. This would make April 22nd, 2023, the first day of the Hebrew New Year, Nisan 1. And Stellarium shows October 16th to be a probable first sighting of the moon's crescent sliver, making October 17th, Tishri 1. And then again in Leviticus, we look at the 7th month, first day of the month. It would be Tishri 1, and it's of the blowing of the trumpets, or describes Yom Teruah. And Micah 7, this is still open. Since we're a month off, it looks like we can still go to the post-rapture scenario. Naturally, we haven't had the rapture yet. If it does happen on October 17th, then even the first of these verses is applicable for 7-1. That would be on the day of the Feast of Trumpets, if it indeed is 1 month off. Then we would have Tishri 1, and the first saying is, woe is me. So we get right into it. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's, the good man has perished out of the earth. And then, of course, in the fourth verse, the day of thy watchman and thy visitation cometh, and now shall be their perplexity. So this is still a very plausible scenario. Now, I wanted to speak a little bit about the sign of Jonah, because this is a 3-day sign, and it seems to fit with just about everything we're seeing involving the eclipse, and also in the Hebrew alphabet, the 3-day warning, and the war that we're having too in Israel. Jonah 1:17, now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. And then this, of course, is a type and shadow of the crucifixion and resurrection. Crucifixion in Luke 23, then the sun was darkened. So we have an eclipse scenario here. Then the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was torn in two. And when Jesus had cried out with a loud voice, he said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Having said this, he breathed his last. And then we go to the resurrection in Luke 24. He is not here, but he is risen. Remember how he spoke to you when he was still in Galilee, saying, the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and the third day rise again. So here we have that 3-day scenario again. And they remembered his words. Then they returned from the tomb and told all these things to the 11 and to all the rest. And I want you to keep 11 in mind, because that is going to become important in a moment. The resurrection was near sunset on Nisan 17, so we have that number 17 showing up, Saturday, April 8th, 30 AD, according to BibleStudy.org. Okay, so I showed you this to you last time. Just want to recap a little bit. Coos Bay, Oregon, the very beginning of the Ring of Fire eclipse, and Ku is to make the low, soft cry of a dove, dove symbolic of the Holy Spirit. And then Oregon, we got Orion, which is the Spanish root. Orion and Orion sound awfully similar, and this seems to be alluding to the coming prince. And with the first total ring that we get, the maximum annularity in Coos Bay, is at 9/17/34. And if we subtract that time that we got before, and so many videos before, in so many different places at 8:53:23, we get 24 minutes and 11 seconds, 24:11. And I want to correct this from the last video. I made an error in the subtraction. It was late, just like it is right now. It's probably about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Strong's G 2411 is temple, is used 71 times. Is this an allusion to Tishri 1? And Strong's G 411 is unspeakable or indescribable, and then there's a use in 2 Corinthians 9:15. Thanks be unto God for his unspeakable gift. And then, of course, the 1734 has to do with the conjunction between Comet Nishimura, or excellent husband, and Jangalovich, 1734, my beloved. And the number of the asteroid and the time are the same, 1734 at that conjunction. And then we went over this last time. The 1734-17 symbolizes God total and perfect victory. And the thing I want to point out here is God resurrected him near sunset on Nisan 17. Keep that also in mind. We'll take a look at that in a moment. 34 may symbolize Gimel and Dalet, the man walking toward the door. The year 5993 changing to 5994. And if we are a month off, then we haven't had that yet. So we're not truly in 5994 yet. Also, the Torah portion that's been read just before the eclipse in the October 9th and 12th in the synagogues involves Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God, Aleph Tav, which represents Jesus, created the heaven and the earth. And then the very last phrase, or the very last 3 words, are the third day. So we've got that third day theme again. But I also added, because I think it was Dana at God a Minute, mentioned that Noach was also being read in the synagogues this week, but that won't be until after the prospective rapture on October 17th. Noach would be read first on October 19th. So, but it's still interesting. It's an interesting choice, to be after a rapture event if it does occur. And this also came from Aaron and Christy at Got a Minute. They drew the sequential corresponding pairs in the Hebrew Aleph Bet, which add to 23. Every single pair adds to 23 consecutively. And there are 11 such pairs. Keep the number 11 in mind. So Strong's H 1734, of course, is he is beloved, but Strong's G 1734, the Greek, is 11th. So we're in this time and in this conjunction where 1734 seems to be figuring prominently. It's in the Greek, it means 11th. And the war in Israel started on October 7th, 2023, counting October 7th as the first day, October 17th, would be the 11th day of the war. That is, if the war continues, and this seems to suggest that it will. The Aleph Bet paired sequentially from the center, and each pair added together give 11 23s, with the outer pair being the Aleph Tav, of course representing Jesus, and also the Strong's Greek 853. If October 17th is really Tishrei 1, then 34 may symbolize Gimel and Dalet, the man walking toward the door. We just looked at that. And then also Drayton Bunyan found in the number pi that 2368, which is, I think that's the verse which alludes to the 153 big fish, are the last four digits of the 7484 digits of pi. 2368 plus 7484 is 9852. The first occurrence of 1717. Now that number is becoming important. And first occurrence of 2023. And all the digits separating them have the same span of digits, a total of 9852 digits. 2023 minus 17 is 17 times 17 plus 1,717. And Led Zeppelin released Stairway to Heaven on November 8th, 1971. Does 71 correspond to Tishrei 1? Just something interesting I thought I'd throw in there. But here's something even more interesting. Strong's G 1017, or October 17th, is prize. And we've been running a race, and that certainly, the Rapture certainly would be a great prize. And if we go back, I had to change this a little bit because this seems to be evolving. As I look at the signs that we're getting, and this latest one is a big one, it's really changed things quite a bit. So if we look at the names, seven spirits of God, Holy Spirit is 7, Yahweh, the number of his name is 26, Aleph Tav, for the Son, for Jesus, is 23, if we add the positions in the alphabet, and of course it's H 853. And Jesus is also the bright morning star, so that would give us an AM time. And now we're in PDT time zone because of that last eclipse. That seems to be the 3-day, what looks like the sign of Jonah. So we're in the U.S. time zone. And of course, we looked at before, we had a first fulfillment on 7/26 this year. The time was unknown, but this was the birth of the child asteroid from the woman Virgo. And then that was revealed. And then the second fulfillment, 7/26, which really can't say 5994 yet. It's probably 5993 since it looks like we're a month off. But the date 10/11 reveals 3-day warning from Ring of Fire eclipse. And then, of course, Jesus, the bright morning star. And then Venus, it's in its morning configuration as a morning star right now. And if we look again at the bright morning star rapture scenario, we can no longer look at this because of the eclipse in Jerusalem, because this is now below the horizon in Jerusalem at this time. Anyway, Venus, the bright morning star, at 8:53:23 a.m. PDT, and this is on 10/17/2023 in Coos Bay, Oregon. Oh, sorry. And then a summary, October 17th would be the 11th day of the Israeli war. The number 11 seems to tie the signs to the war in Israel and October 17th as the potential rapture. The bright morning star rapture scenario, including Venus, are not seen in Israel at 8:53:23 a.m. PDT because it's after sunset. Venus is below the horizon, and that's also the time of the crucifixion, when Jesus gave up the ghost. It was around sunset. The start of the October 14th eclipse was about 8:53:23 a.m. PDT with about 50% coverage. If the rapture occurs at the same time on October 17th, it will be 3 days and 3 nights later. We get the time from multiple sources, including the giant Aleph Tav, or G853, all 3 great American eclipses make on the U.S. So this is indeed the sign of Jonah. And just for fun, I ran these numbers again, and they still look good. It still looks like we have a world population, 8.1 billion. This was on 12:56 a.m. PDT and 10:15. And it looks like we have 2.50 billion Christians in the world and 1.44 billion sealed Christians ready to go, and 6.66 billion people left behind. So we're really running out of time. It looks like we only have maybe a few days left. And Romans 10, 8 through 10 will help you to get saved. The heart of that is that if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So thanks for listening. And here's the hopefully the final date and time that I give you, October 17th, 2023 at 8:53:23 a.m. PDT. This is in the U.S. now. The Jonah Rapture sign, and this concludes my 11th Rapture video. Thanks for watching. God bless. I hope I see you in the sky.